I am here in the lowest IQ country in the world. Here we are in Nepal, some piles of trash, and behind there's some more decent buildings.
It's very dirty.
Yes, very dirty. Why do you think it's so dirty? You don't know? You guys go to school? You go to school?
Yeah.
Yes. You learn very well in school, or are you cleaning your teeth with a? That's for phone, right? So that's funny. You know the highest IQ country in the world? If you look at like the rankings, Japan, their English level is really bad, and here, like a decent, somewhat conversational English level is very common. But yeah, there's cultural reasons for that. So then why is this country rated the lowest IQ country in the world? Is that assessment accurate? I want to show a little bit what it means for society to be a low IQ society. I'm here at the entrance of one of the most famous religious sites of this country, and right in front of it the road is in disrepair. There's electricity cables hanging from the tree, and then the trash on the ground. Look at the state of this building. Sections of it falling apart, and it's still being used. People still live there, but they don't maintain it. They can't keep it from falling apart. And over here, right on the other side, there's these electricity wires that dangerously hang down, some almost to the floor, which is definitely a safety hazard. And it's also one of the reasons why they have so many power outages here. And then there's the trash everywhere. The trash that you see everywhere around you. Those are examples of a low IQ society. Before this video, I made a video about the highest IQ country. This is the lowest IQ country. According to a lot of lists and a lot of tests, a lot of data, Nepal tends to come out at the bottom. There are some reasons where it can be argued that they have a little bit more potential and that they're in an unfortunate situation because of their geography and their isolation. I think there's something to that, because India's IQ is a bit higher. They're not at the bottom, at least. But here, Nepal is considered the lowest. Here we have the river, and then here there's a crossing. It's like a T-junction of the river, and there's trash in the river everywhere. Okay, so over there, you see piles of trash. And you can see all the smoke coming off of them because they're burning it. It doesn't seem like it's very effective. Maybe it just lit on fire accidentally. The difference between those I'm not sure, but in the video about Japan as highest IQ country, one of the things I mentioned is their very complex recycling system. And here in Nepal, that's very much not the case. You have these trash piles along the side of the road. You can see it with all the smoke coming off it. And that's an example of something low IQ. That's because the people were unable to properly understand how to either create the systems to dispose of their waste properly, or either they didn't care. And I'm sure that in some cases these systems exist, but for the most part they don't. You guys are making the, what is the name again? Momo. And it's similar to dumpling, but this is Nepali style dumpling. And it's mainly like Sino-Tibetan. So more from like your culture. The power keeps going out. This is the second power outage today. So we got some battery lights and the phone flashlight, of course. Yeah, the guy was just cooking, and now it's all smoke everywhere because of that. So the power went out there. This light is still off. Here it's also all off, but I'm not sure if there's people here, so maybe it was already off. Here outside we have sunlight, of course, but in this money exchange place, the fan is not on. That's because you have electricity or stop?
Stop.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good example of these complex systems that very high IQ societies are able to manage. In Japan, these things work pretty much flawlessly, but here the power is very irregular. Even traffic lights are very rare. Though I do remember seeing one. Here we have like a larger roundabout, but roundabouts are generally very safe. And you don't really need anyone to do anything there. It's very low maintenance system here. It's my choice there. Here you see power lines hanging down there. Here also a big mess and crisscross to the other side. This is also part of the reason why the power outages here are so common. You're much more likely to have an issue if you have such a chaotic system. As a contrast, in Japan, they also have a lot of these power lines to deliver their electricity. And in Japan, they do it in a much more neat way. They tend to bundle them together. They're very structured with it, even though they have reasons for choosing power lines instead of doing it underground. Because it's cheaper, because there are many earthquakes, just as here. If you do it underground, it's much more difficult to repair when there's an earthquake or any other issue. Because both countries are very prone to earthquakes, they made this same choice of having these power lines all over the place. But here they're just not as neat with it. That means it's a lot less safe. Here people are drying their clothes on this fence, which power lines are also connected to. So it's not being electrocuted right now, but it's not that far-fetched. And here someone's shirt fell down. Here in Nepal, traffic lights are not very common because the electricity here is very unreliable. And because of that, at a lot of T-junctions, you have these traffic guys that sign you around. Like, there's like traffic police over there. A lot of crossings are just kind of free-for-alls. They don't have anyone giving any kind of direction. It's just kind of like, figure it out. Which they do. They certainly do figure it out. And there are more accidents here than in Japan, for example. That's for certain. But despite that, they can still manage to get around. And over there, you see one of these traffic guys, because they don't have stoplights here. There are some stoplights here, but they're not being used. They may not have them everywhere, but here you can just see some, but they're not being used. Mainly because the power is unreliable, and just having a traffic agent do it is more reliable here in this instance. Here we have an example of a working traffic light. Okay, so the guy is like making a gesturing with his hand for the car not to try to pass him, and now he's passing him. And he's pulling over to let some people out. Here you see a big pile of trash. They clean the river and then they dump it on the seaboard there. Yeah, so there's a big pile of trash, and here in the river you see some as well, but they have to clean the river occasionally so it keeps flowing properly. And some of the people here will certainly have the capacity to build and maintain society. But if that percentage of people is too small, then it will crumble faster than it's being built. And faster than they are able to maintain it. And many of them will not want to bother. They'll be better off leaving the country and going somewhere else and making a living there. This part of the road, I'm not sure why it goes down like that, but it's flooded right now because the drainage pipes are clogged up, I suppose. I think they just made it this way so more people can pass. And it doesn't seem very logical. They could have just made that road wider, but I don't think someone came up with this as like a planning idea, or I don't think there was a planning idea at all. And here's some feces, wonderful. A guy just approached me and he asked if I wanted to buy weed, which I don't smoke weed. So the guy across the street, he was asking me for fucking if I wanted to buy marijuana. Like, this is the second time it fucking happened. How much is one ice cream?
One ice cream, 80 rupees, 80.
80 rupee? Okay. Well, this is like a primitive way of doing it. That's funny. Tanjabat.
Okay.
Tanjabat. Okay, we found some section of beautiful paved road. So we were just like speeding like never before, and now we stopped again. I don't know why. He's trying to get the doggy some water. The very small section of paved road has ended, and now we're back to this. Okay, so it looks like here they might have had a landslide. So now we're in this bus, and it's an electric van, an EV. So there's the charging stations. We're walking up this trail, and it's gonna be from 2,000 meters. We're going up to like 4,000 and a little bit meters. So it's gonna be quite a bit. We are having We are having a tea break now, and in Nepali it's chia.
Chia.
Yeah. In this building they have single pane sheets of glass like this, but over here you see they have like this little area of air. And what's so great about that is it actually gives another air barrier layer which keeps the heat inside, and it's actually better insulated this way. So that's very intelligently designed to speak of their IQ. I love the snowy mountains in the background. And then I just that. So this tree fell either last night or this morning, and now we have to stumble over it. And they don't have like very regular services to get rid of them. I'm sure at some point a guy will come along with a chainsaw to cut them down. So here we're waiting for these trucks to pass so we can pass. All rubble on the side of the road, and the road is basically made of rubble. But now we're moving. Okay, so here they're attaching this wire to this spindle, and the guy's just leaning up against like some other bushes of wires. I don't know if he's breaking anything while leaning on it, because he's not leaning on the pole, but that'll be someone else's problem, which I guess is part of the mentality here. So here we have some older buildings that can be very beautiful. Just sadly, they're not very well maintained. So there's cracks everywhere and just really falling apart. Expecting for a building to be properly maintained is maybe too much to ask here for the most part. With very rare exceptions. Like this building over here, it's a very rare exception. But this one is quite well maintained. I just got approached by one of the like art school scammer guys. But he didn't want to be on video, obviously, which I guess I should have thought of. So yeah, I didn't get it on video because I wasn't filming yet. So he probably would have walked away if he saw me filming. Anyway, so here I'm inside a parking garage, and the system they have here is this guy hands you a ticket instead of having like a ticket machine. And there's some wires coming from the roof and everything. Okay, so he has like a website. Okay, so he can select whether it's a motorcycle or a car or a van, and then the price changes. And he fills in some kind of vehicle number. I'm not sure if it's like the end of the license plate or something like that. In higher IQ countries, or in general, pretty much any country, they have a machine for this instead. So that's kind of interesting to see them doing it this way. They do a lot of things more manually, or in kind of like a weird cheapskate way, because the normal way doesn't work for them. It's either too expensive or too complex. This wall is like wavy. You can see it here below. It like goes back and forth. It's kind of funny. Here they broke open the street, but they still let you pass through it, which I guess keeps the businesses going. And under here they have bricks, but they're not leveled anymore. And on top of it must have been some kind of, yeah, I don't know, it looks like rubble from buildings, I'm not sure. I guess these were like street tiles. This is kind of what it has become. Here they're breaking up the street right now. This is what it used to be. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, I made many in South America about the Japanese in Brazil, Germans in Brazil, South African Buddha in Argentina, and the Welsh in Argentina, and much more. Subscribe, also become a channel member. As a channel member you get access to extra videos and early access to new videos.